This video will walk you through how to issue invoices to your client as well as how to find your payment and approval statuses of your invoice. You can issue an invoice at any time to receive payment from your client. Your first step, you will go to your Received POs tab. You will find your purchase order you need to receive payment for. Here on my screen, I do have my purchase order I need to send an invoice for. All I would need to do is click on the left-hand side here, the checkbox, and it's going to provide me with a new button called Create Invoice. By clicking on this Create Invoice button, I will be automatically taken to a new screen to complete my invoice. Your order in Evid automatically changes into your invoice, so no additional work or documents need to be created, saving you time and money on issuing an invoice to receive payment for this order. You can issue an invoice in two ways. First, after reviewing your items here, you can either put a percentage here, and it's going to automatically calculate your dollar amount, or you can simply type in a flat amount and it's going to auto-calculate the percentage. Additionally, the due date will automatically calculate to the present day here, or if your client has set up payment terms for your company in Evid, the due date will automatically default with that date. If your client has set up payment terms for your company, but you need payment earlier, this will be considered a rush payment, and your client would need to approve the rush payment. I can change the due date as well by simply clicking on the calendar icon and selecting the date. You also have the ability to see additional information for your invoice by clicking on this plus icon here. You will be able to type in the payment type, your supplier reference ID, as well as attach an additional document. Your payment type will automatically default to deposit, but you can always click on the drop-down menu to select your first payment, second payment, advanced, balance, or credit. We're going to click first payment for today. You can add your supplier reference ID. So this is a number that you can utilize to track your internal invoice number with your financial system for this invoice within Evid. Finally, I can attach an internal invoice to provide additional information to the client regarding this invoice. When you are ready to issue your invoice to your client, you will simply scroll to the bottom and click Submit here. This will send your invoice to your client and generate an email notification to your client regarding the invoice. Furthermore, if you had a couple events with your client throughout the month and want to issue multiple invoices at once, you can do that as well from this screen. Now, let's take a look at how to manage your invoices and payment statuses. You can manage all of your sent invoices by clicking on the Invoice tab here at the top. And in this table, you will see all of your sent invoices to any of your clients, and you will be able to see directly from this table the invoice number, the purchase order number, the status of the invoice, payment status, the client, program, amount, and due date. Remember, you can always click on this arrow button to add additional information to your table view here. Once you have sent your invoice to your client will need to review and approve your invoice. To find the approval status, you will need to look at the status column here in your table. There are 4 different types of statuses your invoice could be in. The statuses are approved, so meaning the invoice has been approved at all levels, pending, the invoice is waiting for final approval, canceled, the invoice has been canceled, as well as rejected. Now, the invoice can be rejected at any approval level on your client's end. An invoice could be rejected because the due date was incorrect, the final purchase order, quantity, or amount could be incorrect as well. You'll be able to view the exact reason why your client rejected your invoice by clicking on this plus sign here. It will give you an explanation as well as who rejected that invoice on your client's end. If your client has rejected your invoice, you will need to cancel your invoice and reissue a new invoice after you've made your updates. Now, let's talk about your payment status. To view your payment status, you have a column called Payment here in the middle of your table. All payments are in real time in your Avid account. The person listed on your purchase order from your company will receive an email notification about the scheduled payment from your client as well. Your invoice could be in 4 different payment statuses. The first status could be open, meaning that the default payment status for your invoice is not in one of the other 3 statuses. Overdue, if your requested due date is in the past and the invoice has an overdue payment. Scheduled, if at least one payment against the invoice has been scheduled for a future date, as well as paid, if the invoice has been paid in full. If you need more information about your payment status, you will contact the person listed on your invoice. By clicking on this invoice button, you will be able to see the contact information, by who prepared it, as well as the attention to. You will want to contact your client on this invoice. If you need further assistance with the technology or how to issue an invoice and find your payment status, you can always contact the member service team at memberservice@avid.com or by phone at 312-902-3833. Thank you for your time today.